when it comes to expectations, as Steve outlined, I think both can exist. That Ohio State's an elite program, expect Big Ten championships, college football playoff appearances, and some breakthrough to win national championships on whatever periodic basis. But you can still say, let's evaluate this team, let's evaluate this program. They walked into this stadium against probably the best team in the country, and they competed tooth and nail to the final play. So is the program broken? Is the team broken? I don't believe so. That doesn't mean you don't strive to get better and diagnose the weaknesses. But there's a difference between had they stepped on this field and didn't show themselves to be worthy of a playoff spot or this game versus saying, our expectations and the standard is still to win championships. But, this team played their hearts out, and we've got a talented roster and a well-functioning program.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, look at Clemson. We still consider them to be an elite program, and are they still in the top two? No. Alabama, certainly elite program. 1 year, obviously not in the playoffs, still certainly an elite program. So there's still 4 or 5 programs. Michigan is kind of, weaseling their way up in there. And again, we're having the whole off-season debate whether or not Jim Harbaugh, wants to leave Michigan or not. I think that this is a lot of salary kvetching, that he wants that clawback that they took from him. That money that he didn't earn previously that they took back from him, he's now suddenly earning it. So he wants it back. But maybe he'll surprise me and go to the Colts or the Broncos or something, or the or who is it? The
Panthers, Carolina.
Yeah, the Panthers are now on the clock. So how funny would it be for him to go somewhere and have C.J. Stroud be his quarterback, and C.J. Stroud would have to hold his nose for the first month or two until he figures out that he can work with this guy as his coach. But that's a long way off from happening, obviously. But at any rate, they're definitely still elite. They're definitely still recruiting at a high level. And I oversimplify it when I say, well, you didn't win a national championship with Fields and Stroud. Is it possible to win one with McCord or Brown or whoever, the younger Montgomery kid or whoever, comes up down the line to play quarterback for the Buckeyes? That's a tremendous question. I mean, Tennessee did not win one with Peyton Manning, but did the next year with a guy named T. Martin, who time has largely forgotten, other than his name is on a street sign outside of Neyland Stadium. But anything's possible. But you got to build again. I've harped on this, and we've harped on it forever. The recruiting on defense in 19 and 20 was not what it needed to be, and that came home to roost once again in this game, as it did in the Michigan game prior and the Michigan game last year. So, got to get some studs. It's great that you have Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, who were those studs on the roster. Need production out of them. Sonny Styles is a stud. CJ Hicks is a stud. Neither of them got to play much on defense this year. Maybe they step in and become starters next year. Who knows? But got to get your best 11 on the field. Got to get a better 11 on the field is my feeling.
Well, and part of the thing, too, is I think that people see what happened and then look at Ohio State, their schedule next season. And it's going to be a more difficult schedule with who they face on the road. And with nine conference games, you either get 5 at home and 4 on the road, or the other way around. And this year it's going to be 5 on the road in league play at Notre Dame, and this who they draw and who they play on the road, especially Michigan to end the season. And it does feel like a missed opportunity. But let's not forget that coming out of Justin Fields, it was at least believed to be a pretty wide open quarterback competition. Who's this CJ Stroud kid? Oh, he's not going to be able to lead the team. Even once he starts playing, people were like, oh, they picked the wrong guy or whatever. And now, we have the benefit of 2 years of data points to look at. It's like, oh, well, he was pretty good, actually. So, this program has not been short in recent years of putting out quality quarterbacks and having them ready and everything else. But I think that everybody is always worried about what's behind door number 3 and it being a reincarnation of Joe Boserman. So there's always going to be some concerns there. But we'll on to the next one. We'll see kind of what's there. But I've seen some argument going on in the chat once again as I'm kind of half paying attention here and paying attention to the chat of people saying that anybody who's saying that Ohio State was the better team and making comments there. Well, Kirby Smart said that on that night that Ohio State was the better team. And, I really don't think that when you have the coaches saying that, sure, it's up for debate. It's all subjective, but I think Ohio State was the better team for large stretches of the game and just couldn't close it.
I had my doubts about how they would play and where their heads would be and their confidence level would be. And my thoughts in that direction were erased within, 5 minutes of game time. And throughout most of that game, I thought, I don't necessarily believe Ohio State's a better team 365 days of the year, but they look like the better team to me most of this night. So, where this hurts in a certain respect is you guys see it all the time. I see it all the time in monitoring these chats and taking phone calls and so forth through the week. As college football fans, what do for the time, especially between January and September, is argue numbers, meaning how many championships do you have? When was the last time we won a championship here. You haven't won one since 2014, or what's the playoff record for Ohio State versus Clemson or Alabama? What's the Big Ten's playoff record? And when you accumulate the wins or the losses, the closeness of the games dissipates, and the evaluation of how good the program or the team is completely is melted away by just the sheer numbers of how many championships do you have, what's your playoff record, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, all the bragging rights stuff, that's what keeps the Hot Stove League alive here for January through August. I have to admit, is a bit depressing. Thinking about going to watch spring practice in March at 8:30 in the morning, and all these other things that happen during the off season. I'm trying not to let the depression overtake me that that this didn't result in a trip to the national championship game, because this team, 1 through 85, deserved that chance to try and match up with TCU, or, had it been Michigan, whoever it would have been, to try and be the national champion this year. I think in talking to people down there, it was kind of evident that there wasn't an LSU from 2019 that was head and shoulders, above everybody else. There wasn't a Georgia from 2021 who was, other than their loss to Alabama. I think the right team won the second game. I think they were the better team all season long, and just had a misstep in the SEC championship and then got a chance to make it right in the national championship. They were the better team. And it was there for the taking for any of the 4 teams that could win 2 games. It was there. And they were so closely matched that both games were decided in the final minute. So, that's what makes it a sad situation, I think, for Ohio State and its fans. But, not everybody's going to win the last game of the season. Only one of the 4 teams can be the champion. So, you knew you were an underdog going in. You acquitted yourself pretty well. So, that's not a loser way to look at it. That's just reality, I suppose.
Aside from my own rooting interests personally, from a professional and business side, I was relishing the debate between Ohio State and Michigan fans all off season, where Michigan fans would say, hey, we beat you 2 years in a row. We won 2 consecutive Big Ten championships. And Ohio State fans would say, well, we won the national championship. Had they won over TCU without a shot at Michigan, and that would have been the great debate all off season, is who had the bragging rights, because one is a national championship and the other had the series over the last 2 years.
That's like a buddy of mine. He and I always, go back and forth about different things. We were both on the basketball team our junior and senior year, and I played more and scored more points in my career, junior and senior year, than he did, but he had the better senior year. So he would say, I was better than you as a senior. And I said, career. It's the career totals that matter. the same thing. He values the yeah, but in our senior season, the one that really mattered, I was better, so just
Whatever.
little funny things like that. But who's better? You both are. So there you go.
We always skew the numbers to fit the argument.
We sure do.
Absolutely. Got to.